Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Techno Brew. And I have the pleasure of hosting a dear friend, Maria Glazunova. Maria, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks.
I'm glad that you're here. And for those of you who are not familiar with Maria, Maria is a tech English communications coach. And she has developed this wonderful methodology called ROCK.IT, which is designed to empower tech professionals through clear, concise, and confident communication. So I'm really excited to learn more about it. What's your story?
Right, right. I think we should go back a little bit. Yeah, I have been actually coaching tech professionals for quite a while, for about like 12 years already. And I've always loved it, working with tech professionals, because I resonated with their lifestyle, way of thinking. And I have lots of relatives and friends in this amazing profession. So somehow I don't know, I just always resonate with these guys. But I would say that it's been a while when I decided actually to niche down completely and work only with tech professionals, because I wanted to become like a neurosurgeon in the field, to really go deeper into, um, like nuts and bolts and what's happening, and like to understand the challenges better, and to understand also how I can help better. Because I've been always passionate about English language as it is, and I started to work with guys, tech professionals, helping with them first of all with the language. But as I got deeper, I also understood that that's not the real challenge. It's not about the language that much, meaning like vocabulary, grammar, accent, or anything like that. It's actually more about communication skills, because yeah, I've been dealing with lots of different amazing tech professionals right now. First of all, I collaborate with senior software engineers, tech leads, so people who already are in charge of teams, and they already have pretty good level of the language. But
Right.
yeah, but when they come to me, they usually share with me that yeah, they actually share with me first that they have the language problem, but I see that that's not the case. They have the communication skills problem, I would say, some challenges there. Because communication skills is much more than the language. It goes much, I would say, more like beyond the language. For example, like mastering the communication flow, meaning that um, like I really listen to the person. So the person saying something in front of me, and I really listen to the person to understand, not just to respond and to to already have some opinions in my head, and just like say something and just go right. And that's also where misunderstanding starts. But really be there, being open. You don't have to agree with whatever like the person is saying, but you're really there, you're really present, and you're really listening. And also, another thing that I think is very important, and it's like golden rule for me, and I'm guilty of actually not doing that sometimes: assuming. I think we assume so much,
Mm,
and never really clarify. Even yesterday I had like the session with an amazing like engineering manager, and I just, what, I just say some idea, okay, and then you just paraphrase how you understood my idea, okay, and you ask the clarifying question. And I said some really simple one, and he understood it in a completely different way, and I was like, see, yeah, that's not what I meant. So
right.
he paraphrased me, so to make sure that yes, that's my idea, yeah, I heard you right, or
Right.
maybe that's not my. And it's so simple, and we think, and that we are pretty good at listening. And guys who come to me, they never say, what, I'm really bad at listening, to people. No.
Right.
But when they actually dig deeper, we understand, yeah, that's not the case. And this is like the first step, right? When we listen to people, we really make sure that we clarify, we understand, and then we organize our thoughts. And this is also I mean, we're native speakers, we're non-native speakers, but we really clearly organize our thoughts and produce them. I would say that other people can also understand there are no obstacles in pronunciation. And here, I don't mean the accent. I just mean that you're just clear. So the person like, oh, okay, I got it. I got what you mean. And the next step that not a lot of people actually do as a notice, me myself including, and I kind of try also to do that more
Yeah.
to make sure that person understands your message that you meant. I had so many, such situations when I would say something to the person and they would understand it like in such a way that I even hadn't thought it could be possible to understand
Right.
them. And then, of course, the misunderstanding starts, right? So this is something that we train with guys, all these steps, but it's more about the communication skills, right? Like active listening, even so, for example, if giving presentations, storytelling, and all these components as well. But it's more in the sphere of communication skills and the language. Yeah, it plays some part, but not the biggest part, I would say.
Sure. Right. The language is the medium that
Yeah,
you're using, right? It's just I suppose even with for developers with coding, you're always looking for the most efficient way to code something. You can code something in many different ways. There's
yeah.
always going to be a more efficient way of doing it. Maybe
Hmm.
you could walk me through a bit of, I guess, how you develop the rocket agile approach. How did
Hmm.
that happen?
um, well, I would say that happened through the work with, you know, tech professionals understanding their needs and going, I would say, step by step. Of course, they come and they usually, yeah, they're interested in language skills and they tell me that they overthink a lot, especially if the English language is not their first language. They worry about that a lot and they overthink. And I remember I had an interesting conversation with one guy from Microsoft, and he's principal engineering manager. I forgot exactly his position, but yeah, so he's like, he's managing his team from different countries, China, Japan, Europe, and so on. And he notices that sometimes they, you know don't contribute, for example, to the meeting,
Mm,
or they kind of, yeah, you can tell, the person is like, is worrying about something. And he said like, wow, that was, but I'm like a native speaker, and honestly, I don't care about the accent or anything like that. I just care about the job gets done. That's, yes, of course. You have some clarity about some things, yeah, you are on the same page, and that's it, but nothing more. But when guys tell come to me, and in a lot of cases they worry a lot and they overthink. One of my, for example, just one more example before we go into the rocket.
yeah, please.
Yeah, so we don't like diverge too
No
much.
worries.
Yes. So this guy is from the Philippines, and he told me that, like, from the start, he's like overthinking a lot. So there is this big meeting. He's also in the leadership position. So this is really highly important for him to contribute to the meeting. So yeah, so I would say that the team moves forward, that his ideas are being heard and everything, but he just like overthinks and tries to be like, as polite as possible and so on. And when he's actually ready, the meeting is over.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, and that's one of the big things that people come to me. So they gain this confidence and they gain these techniques and everything, that they can also freely share their ideas. They feel heard and seen and everything, and of course they move up in the career ladder, right? And in this rocket, of course, we start with some foundation. So the R stands for refined business vocabulary. We start a little bit with vocabulary where they feel, I would say, comfortable to start with, right? So, like,
Yeah.
okay, guys, yes. And I share some strategies. So, guys, this is really important that we concentrate on only relevant vocabulary because we have limited time, right? This is exactly for your work. And
Right.
I would say, expand this business vocabulary in the context of your work, that you also pick all this vocabulary from your colleagues, because in a lot of cases they work in international environments, and also they have some special language in their company as well.
Yeah.
Something to pay attention to. And oh, wow, okay, that makes sense. And we just like, we start from there, right?
So that's interesting. They have to have a good foundational base in terms
Yeah,
of vocabulary. You're not a miracle worker. You can't teach them to speak English. They have to come to you with some competence already. And
yeah,
then you're basically helping them, like you say, refine. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Choosing their words carefully. I like how you said that because the time is so limited. You want to make sure that they're, yeah, that's brilliant.
yeah. And I also understand that in a lot of cases they work with a lot of American companies, Canadian companies, and well, I lived in Canada for a little while, for a year, but anyway, and I noticed that everything happens really fast, and not a lot of you also have enough, maybe even opportunity to jump in the conversation, and sometimes you even need to even a little bit fight for that right, in a way,
Yeah.
right?
You have to claim your time.
My friend, by the way, he told me another technique um, that works for him. And he says that, like, there is the conversation, there is no space for him, for example, to jump in. So he would just like throw, I respectfully disagree. And that's it. Like nothing else, just like, just that. Wait, when, people would give you space, like, okay, so why do you respectfully disagree? And
Right, right.
even if you agree with the person, we still can, okay, like paraphrase whatever and add something from, yourself, but still you will have this opportunity, you will have
Yeah.
that space. So that's just another, I would say, trick.
Like a shock and awe, right? Just like they're
Yeah,
not expecting it, just coming out from left field.
exactly, exactly.
Right. So that's
Yeah.
R. That's refining the business vocabulary mastery, right?
Yes, yes. Because once again, you can know all the vocabulary in the world, but if you don't know how to use it and
Yeah.
some techniques, well, there is no use for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the first step. And the second one, O, it's about organizing ideas clearly. And I was really impressed and surprised when I also got some native speakers who would come to me. I was like, whoa, that's something new. And they
Right.
told me that they struggle with organizing their ideas clearly and really getting to the point, not over explaining, not overthinking, just, exactly what they want to say and just say that.
Yeah.
Although their vocabulary is, I mean, amazing,
Right.
right? So that's an art, I would say, and this is something that we are also training, right, to have that clarity. I don't know, I think clarity is number one for me, the value that
Sure.
I have in my life. And this is something that I'll always kind of try to help people with clarity, and
Yeah.
self-awareness. This is another thing. Yeah.
For sure. I think that's very important. It's almost like a very pragmatic approach to communicating. Uh,
It's a very good
and
point.
so
Yeah.
I like your approach about kind of cutting through all that noise and just being very clear about what it is
Mhm.
you're trying to communicate.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes also about feedback, because some of the guys, they need to give feedback to, I don't know, somebody from your team, right? And there are different ways how we can give feedback. And this is something that if they need to, we work on that. And I noticed that in American culture, like the sandwich feedback is quite, I would say, popular, right? When you give some positive thing, that's some constructive one, then you kind of cover with some positive one. Honestly, I'm not such a big fan of that, because it might be confusing, at least like I have my experience when I was receiving such feedback.
Mm,
And for me, I like more, for example, there is such a framework SBI, when you're really specific about situation, behavior, and impact, right? And when you're giving feedback. And it's very direct, right? It can be positive, it can be negative, but like as specific as possible. You're still being kind and everything, but you also direct, and the person understands what exactly this is the situation, and then also what is the action to take, right? So there is no ambiguity whatsoever. So
Sure.
I would say that this kind of this kind of feedback works better. And once again, this is also about organizing ideas and being really clear. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if we move further, see, convey with confidence. And this is something very interesting topic, honestly, about confidence, because all professionals with whom I have worked so far, they told me that, yeah, I would like to boost my confidence because I feel that
Sure.
I don't have like enough, I would say, for whatever that is. And this is very psychological thing, honestly. Confidence has nothing to do with the language, like at all. It's purely psychological thing, like 100%. And I even have, I would say, how like two interesting cases. It was
Yeah.
at the same time with two ladies. One lady, she had absolutely amazing level of not level of confidence, but level of the language, and she was absolutely fluent and everything, but she was so perfectionistic about everything what she was telling that she couldn't say a word almost.
Mm.
It was like it was super hard for her. And also
Right.
another lady, she was like a founder of some company, and her level was below average. And oh my god, she was, super clear. She was making mistakes, but she was really understandable and really, as precise as she could be. And people would understand her, and she would get things done, and she was really, I would say, projecting, this confidence.
Yeah.
And it made me thinking, that it's, it has nothing to do with the language, like at all.
Sure. Yeah. That's awesome. I love it's a vibe. Like you project a very good vibe, a very confident vibe. It's very clear, and your stories are great too. The two examples, but it seems like there's, I guess the confidence is fantastic, and it's great to build it up. And I'm sure with the people that you're working with, there's also competence as well. They
Yes.
they have the skills, like the woman you said who has limited maybe language skills,
Yeah.
but she knew what she was talking about. She knew what she needed to get done, and she was able to clearly communicate that despite the language. She had the confidence to clearly communicate that. And it's interesting how we can get into our own heads with the other example, how we overanalyze, overthink, and we want it to be perfect. And if it's
Yeah.
not perfect, then I don't want to say anything because I don't want to sound silly or stupid or whatever, right? Because we can kind of get in our own heads and get in our own way. So I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a very interesting point because um, I work like the professionals I work with, they are super competent. They are super, I don't know, they're absolutely amazing and brilliant. I'm not like right now saying, just for the sake of saying or
Sure.
something. I just
Yeah.
see that. And if I may, I would like to share one interesting analogy
Sure.
that just, I don't know, made sense to me. I would say it's not like connected with tech. It's connected to gardening
Sure. Okay.
because I love, a little bit of gardening. I love flowers. My favorite is orchid, and I have this beautiful orchid, like really amazing color and everything. And at some point, like everything was fine. I mean, it looked normal, nothing like usual, right?
Sure.
And at some point, it gave birth to to a baby orchid. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yes, I was like, of course, happy. And then I read on the internet that it was a sign that she was dying. I was like, what's happening? I mean, it looks perfectly normal to me, like no
Yeah.
yellow leaves, nothing like that. Like, why? What's happening? So I decided to investigate, I decided to, to take a look at her roots and everything. And you know what I found out? There was like a sleazy worm that ate almost all the roots,
Oh wow.
yeah. And I couldn't, I couldn't see it. It was completely like on the inside. And she had like
Yeah.
a only one route that was like still healthy and somehow just like, I don't know, trying to survive. I
Sure.
I was shocked, seriously, because it didn't show anything, it looked perfectly fine to me.
Right.
So I got rid of that worm, right? I like took care, I fertilized and everything, my beautiful orchid, and right now everything is wonderful. She's like, she I call her she. She's blossoming, and that the baby orchid is doing fine. But it gave me an interesting insight. That on the outside we can be looking perfectly normal, like nothing is happening.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
inside, we can be eating ourselves. With our negative beliefs,
Yeah.
and yeah. So that's one of the things. And no matter how much vocabulary we put into ourselves, or I don't know, grammar or whatever that is, or express our ideas,
Sure.
if it's all we are not working with these negative beliefs and becoming just aware of them. This is definitely the first step. mm, there might be not a lot that we can really do, to really make a change. Yeah. So
Right.
I'd say, yeah. What do you think about it? What do you think about these negative beliefs? Have you ever, I don't know, had them stop you somehow in
Well, yeah,
something?
absolutely. I mean, I definitely have had moments where, probably more often than I want to admit, probably, but right, it comes and goes, and it is kind of a mind trip, right? And so, yeah, I think that's a really cool, a cool thing to help your clients with.
Yeah, and also I can definitely relate to everything that you're saying, because I'm not an exception. Definitely, from time to time, I also feel that it's just like our shadow in a way, that you cannot escape. Sometimes it's you can see it more. Sometimes you can see it less because of the
Yeah,
different triggers, right?
true.
Yeah, this is something kind of to make peace with, as I see it,
Yeah.
because I believe that what makes us human.
For me, normalizing the feelings that we have helps to kind of overcome them. Like you said, facing those notions that you might have every once in a while
Mm-hmm.
can definitely help to overcome that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
easier said than done, but I think if you're talking to the right people, it definitely helps, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I remember I listened to one lady, a coach, and she talked about authentic confidence, and it really resonated with me, because she talked in a way that it's okay that you are feeling confident, and at the same time you're feeling freakishly scared and inadequate in some way, right? Because it's kind of, when I would say, it's important that you are meeting these insecurities that comes up, and they will come up for sure, especially if there is more like a high stakes situation, for example. They will definitely come up, but you're meeting those insecurities with kindness and from your powerful and resourceful self, uh,
Sure.
and you're like letting them be. You're not like pushing away, because usually we try to push away. No, 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 I'm okay. I'm like super confident woman. I'm
Right.
not scared of anything. Well,
Yeah.
um, you know what? I am, and that's okay.
Yeah. Owning it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And I think this is something that also I try to project, and also make people with whom I'm working with feel really comfortable with, to feel comfortable in their own skin. And the next one is not less important. It's about listening actively, right? So keep listening actively,
Yeah.
to understand, to really hear the person, to like, to a little bit let go of your opinions or whatever judgments, preconceived idea that we all definitely have, and really hear the person, kind of follow the person, really kind of walk with the person, try to really understand their way of thinking, because it's definitely quite different from yours. We're all different. And when you, okay, I got it, then you can, of course, form your idea, and you just like say something, whatever you would like to express, right?
Sure.
So yeah, so listening is a big one for really having that understanding between people. And if we move further, so it's like rock. I eat. The next one is about inspire, influence, and impact. And it's about, presenting yourself, because in a lot of cases, guys need to, of course, present their expertise to their peers
Sure.
and everything. And this is actually one of my favorite parts, because with guys, we go live on LinkedIn. So we prepare different, like things. So we choose the topic. So they have this opportunity also to present in front of their live audience and,
Right.
deal with questions, handling questions and everything. And yeah, and train that in like real life, I would say. I mean, real life meaning online, of course, but still.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Storytelling, right? This is, I think, very powerful when you're presenting some of your ideas, making some analogies, real world examples, so
Sure.
people can really relate, right? And can really also understand what kind of person you are, what personality you have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much important. Yeah. And the last one, it's about T. Tailor your tech expertise to non-technical stakeholders. And this one is sometimes underrated in a way, or misunderstood in a way, because guys, so for example, they have some um, interesting idea, right, that they would like to push forward,
Sure.
and go to the, I don't know, to their manager or somebody who is like the decision maker,
Yeah.
and would like to, yeah, to make it happen. And sometimes people ask me, okay, Mary, could you please give me some good phrases so I can persuade and influence people better? And that is not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you do the work for me, Mary? Can you do that for me? That'd be great. Thanks.
Kind of, yeah. Or just like paraphrasing something or just
Yeah.
saying it another way, it won't do the work, because here, once again, it really goes beyond the language, because it requires, for you not only understand your technical piece, but you also really need to understand what this person who you are presenting really cares about, what they need, because they, of course, they have like the bigger picture, right? If it is
Sure.
manager, right, they also
Yeah.
understand how it impacts the business, how, yeah. So you kind of need to a little bit go outside, I would say, and to try to understand like the bigger picture. And then you present this idea from this perspective, from this angle, that might actually be interesting to that person, with
Yeah.
understanding of, business. It's kind of connecting also some business acumen at the same time. So in that case, that person might actually really listen to you, and you can be really heard, I would say. But
Yeah.
as you say, it also kind of goes much beyond just the language,
No, I
right?
love that, and I tell you, I understood it a different way when you said it, tailoring your technical expertise to non-tech stakeholders. I thought you were going to go the route of not using technical jargon, not
Yeah,
using too many acronyms, and talking to somebody in layperson terms in a way
mm,
that, like, if you're a developer, I'm not going to understand your coding speak.
yeah,
So speak in a way that I'll understand. So dumb it down for me, anyways. But
yeah.
I love how you kind of you surprised me because you went way beyond that. That's the kind of maybe level one. You went to understand what motivates that person who's non-technical. What are their objectives or their priorities? And I guess it goes back to that listening actively and
Mhm,
understanding what it is that they're trying to convey to you, and then tailoring your approach then so that you address that. And
mhm,
so your idea, it's great for so many reasons, and it addresses your priorities, your strategic parameters or imperatives in this way, and this way.
mhm,
And you'll get buy-in, I guess, a lot quicker probably. So that's great. I love how you explained that to me because I totally I was really thinking high level, but it goes a lot deeper than that, doesn't it?
mhm. Yeah, I agree with you, of course, to really simplify. But I think it goes, to be honest, not only for non-technical, but also for technical guys as well. I mean, of course, they will definitely understand the jargon and everything and acronyms. Although not always, by the way, this guy from the Microsoft,
Yeah.
he told me that they were using so many these acronyms when he just, and it was like blowing his mind when he was working. And
That's kind of funny.
I couldn't really find it even on the internet because it's a
Right.
acronym, right?
Yeah.
And then what he did, he actually took the initiative and he really wrote down all these acronyms and everything what they meant, and so other people won't be suffering that much, you know.
That's a
As-
good guy. That's a good person. I
I
like
know.
him. Yeah. I do the same thing. I will like I'll do a list of things and I'll because I won't understand at first and I'll have to do a search and then I'll record it for later. But that's really funny. Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, you are a technical person,
Yeah.
and sometimes you are not
Yeah.
able to understand all this, right? And can you?
Yeah. Acronyms are supposed to be efficient. They're gonna convey meaning, and then you get so many of them that you're actually confusing yourself. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He also said that whenever he would explain something, right? I mean, he would be in a conversation and he would use an acronym. He would always also say what that means.
Yeah.
So, because not always, people really, yeah, yeah, sure, yeah, I understand that. Like, oh my God, what did he say? So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, kind of
That's
going on.
great. So I like that. And I'm just gonna summarize this. So that's Rocket. Refining business vocabulary mastery, organizing your ideas clearly, concisely. C, conveying with confidence. K, keep
Mm-hmm.
listening actively. I, inspire, influence, and impact. T, tailor your technical expertise to non-tech stakeholders. I like that it is pronounced rocket as well because I feel like it's a very apt descriptor. I do think it's probably something that you could use beyond your work engagement as well. I mean, who wouldn't be able to use that? Notwithstanding the whole technical part, but speaking
Mm-hmm.
clearly and organizing your thoughts and listening actively, using stories to convey your meaning, and tailoring your conversation to whoever you're speaking to helps people to feel like they're listened to. Who doesn't want to engage that conversation, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
cannot agree more. Yeah. This is something that is a constant practice of mine. I would say not always I also succeed, right? But I always try. I always have this intention, and like with maybe new people, I might be also a bit shy, but then okay, yeah, I know
Yeah.
what to do. I know how to engage. I'm teaching people that, right? So I try to practice what I preach all the time, right?
Is there anything, Maria, that you would like to share that maybe we haven't had a chance to discuss yet?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say that I shared everything that I really wanted. And um, I would say that communication really personal for me. I would say it's also a way of my, I don't know, like actively, it's a way of actively practicing peace. And this is something that I'm passionate about, helping guys, and really bringing more understanding to this world, bringing more listening to each other, because sometimes we're in such a rush. We're like completely, lost in our gadgets or something. We are not really listening, we're not really there. And
Yeah.
just bringing more presence, bringing more simplicity into our
Hmm.
working situations, or even, as you said, right, families and relationships and everything. I
Yeah.
think this can make a huge difference, just with this little shifts. um, like even my client of mine, yesterday he told me, you know what, I just recognized that during the meeting I'm sometimes, thinking about some next meeting, I'm already typing something, I'm not there, I'm kind of,
Mhm.
kind of multitasking, but it doesn't exist, right?
Right.
You're or there or you're not there. And in a
Yeah.
lot of cases, unfortunately, we're not there. So yeah, I would say just this bringing this presence and simplicity, and listening, really listening to each other, so that can make a huge difference. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's a fantastic framework for communicating. I'm gonna try to use some of your tactics in my own communication because I definitely see the value, and I'm really glad that we had a chance to connect here and share what you're doing with people out there who might not even realize that they have this challenge or that there's a way to address it. What's the best way for people to reach out if they want to talk to you about getting some coaching on their communication?
Sure, sure. I will be absolutely happy, guys. You can just go to my website. Maybe you can share, this running page.
Let's
There
do it.
is, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so there is mariaglazunova.com, and there is a button. This button is all over the place. You won't miss it. Yeah, so just we can have a chat, like 30 minutes chat. So I can understand also what is your situation, what is your challenge. Then I will share, of course, like what I propose, and if we feel that we are a match, of course, we can, yeah, just think about and discuss some collaboration. So I think that is the way. Also, I'm quite active on LinkedIn, and you can just
Perfect.
DM me. Yeah, just shoot me a DM, and I will definitely answer. I think these are two ways. You also mentioned, I think, here my email. Definitely, that's the third way. You can definitely contact me just via email, and that is also a pretty good way. I will
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
Yes, yes. Thank you
Fantastic.
so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity, to share my work and to have this interesting conversation about communication, which is, I would say, quite important for tech professionals, not only tech professionals, to be honest. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. It was such a pleasure to speak with you, and I'm really glad that we had this chance to do so. Uh, Thank you for spending this time with me, and I hope we have a chance to talk again soon.
Absolutely.